Hello there. This is Cindy at cindybdesigns.com. Thank you for joining me today. That is the card that we will be making. And here's another shot. We're going to be doing, well, back up. I hope you're having a really happy and fun quarantine and are safe and healthy. Nothing here. A month later, I'm fine. We are going to be doing a concept art card, which is going to be in that far right corner there, using the Peaceful Poppies suite. 2 die sets, 2 stamp sets, DSP, everything that I used on this card was completely out of this suite, and it was so easy to make. That was Rich Raspberry. There's Peaceful Moments, and that coordinates with the painted labels, I think, dies. That is the Painted Poppies stamp set, which we're only going to be using a sentiment. The rest is going to be total die cuts, and that coordinates with the Poppy Moments. So we're using that. I'm going to fumble my way through this video because I have no nails. And it's like my hands are foreign to me, and yeah. So that was part of the suite. I'm going to be playing with a little bit more next week. White cardstock, Flirty Flamingo, Calypso Coral, Blackberry Bliss, and Rich Raspberry. Our card base is Blackberry Bliss Landscape A2, 5.5 across, 4 1/4 down. We're going to cover it with a piece of the Designer Series paper from the suite, Peaceful Poppies DSP. And then we have a piece of Calypso Coral and another piece of white cardstock. The measurements, everything will be over on the blog at cindybdesigns.com, and there's a link in this YouTube description to take you right to that blog post so you're not hunting around. So the first thing I'm going to do is bring in my Stamparatus, secure down the card base, and just load up the back of that full panel there that's going to cover the card front with some Tombow mono glue. And you know how I use my Stamparatus to get everything completely lined up, and it always works out. You don't always cut right, and if you have a little bit of overhang, just take it over to your Stampin' trimmer and trim the excess off. So now we are bringing in our Whisper White strip. That is 3/4 of an inch width, and I think the length you're going to need is going to be around 4. Again, the blog post is already done, so I do have that information down for you. I am making sure that the stamp is lined up, and I'm going to be bringing in my Rich Raspberry and then laying that down twice. My ink pad in that color is really wonky for some reason, and I'm going to have to fix it, but in the pictures, it just kind of looks different, but it did work in the long run there. You want to heat set that color anytime that you use it. On the left, okay, skip intro. On the left, that is Flirty Flamingo, and on the right, Calypso Coral. I'm putting the shadow dye on the lighter color, and then the solid dye on the darker. Again, on the left, Rich Raspberry, on the right, Blackberry Bliss, and then I swapped it what I did. I'm making the shadow the darker color, and the lighter color have the solid leaf there. And I think that's, no, not all for our die cutting. So I am bringing in a panel of Calypso Coral. That is 3 1/4 across by 4 inches down. And you can see how it's lined up on the card there and how those leaves are going to go in the concept art card. So what I'm going to do now, and this is our cheat or our hack, in the picture I showed you, it was embossing paste that we used with a stencil. And that's a project I have coming up next week for you, where I'm using embossing paste as well over one of our regular stencils. But how the concept artist made that particular card was die cutting, and I'm going to show you what she did and how she did it right now. and how you can use that as a mask. And it's also my cheat too at the same time. I don't know what the die cut image name is for that one, just a floral thing. So I cut out the top and I'm rotating the die, and I'm going to go ahead and die cut out the bottom, run that through, take your pick tool, and then poke out all the little holes in there, because I didn't use the precision base plate or pull anything out like my brush. And so this is what it looks like. So instead of using, okay, I'm going to back up here. That's where you can see the embossing paste. So instead of using what you see in my left hand as a template, we're going to leave it that way. And if I wanted to use embossing paste, that's what I would normally do. And that black piece of paper, cardstock, is just there for the visual. But I would take our embossing paste and one of our palette knives and then just rub it over like that to get full coverage. Take the mask off or the stencil, let it dry, and we're done. Instead, I'm going to cheat, and we're going to do that. Just grabbing a piece of Whisper White cardstock, gluing it down behind our, I guess I want to call it a focal panel, and we're going to inlay it from behind rather than do an inlay on top with a stencil and the embossing paste. And you'll see that in the project I have coming up next week, so I can get into like a little bit more deeper and you can compare the two. So I have that put down, and I'm using one of our clear blocks to go ahead and set it up and let it dry. So this is what we're looking like so far, and you can kind of see the hack that we pulled off there. Are you getting the same result? No, but you're getting the same. Well, yeah, you are. You're getting the same look. I've already gone ahead and put the Stampin' Dimensionals on the back of that, and now I'm going to be pulling in our sentiment and seeing where I want that lined up. So once I figure that out, I'm going to flip it over, put Stampin' Dimensional. Yeah, I'm out of frame. I'm sorry. Here we go. Put a Stampin' Dimensional on the very, the left side. Liquid adhesive on the rest of it there to keep it down. And then get that centered up. What I should have done is use the grids or the grid on my Stamparatus like I normally do to help me keep things lined up. So I'm bringing in the white seam binding, which I love. And you're going to see me struggle with it big time here. And the concept art card, it doesn't have a bow or anything like that. There's just a piece of that ribbon going across it. I decided to, do my thing with it. Put a little bit of snail on the Whisper White cardstock there just to keep that ribbon down a little bit. And I do know that it does go over the bones of the Stampin' Dimensional, but it's very easy to fix. So I'm pulling in my third hand of my tweezers now, and I'm going to get that bow straightened out, fix it, mess with it, hopefully not too much. And I gotta tell you, I'm really embarrassed over my hands or the nail part. I almost didn't do a video because of that, but I thought, you know what? We're all kind of in the same boat in one way or another, with our physical little things, right? I am going to be pulling off the back of the Stampin' Dimensionals now. Since we have, and then line up my leaves on the back of that. And I know I'm covering the Stampin' Dimensionals when I do that. But since we have that Whisper White, like our faux embossing panel behind the Calypso Coral, when that glue dot right there that I'm trying to expose right now, I should have put not a glue dot, a stamped dimensional. I should have put a glue dot on top of that to account for the extra piece of paper, the Whisper White behind the Calypso Coral, because I have a teeny tiny little bit of a, maybe like a level thing there, but you can't really tell. I can't tell, and you might be able to too, but it does work out. I'm bringing in some of our liquid adhesive and adding that to the cardstock where I had Stampin' Dimensionals covered up, and now I'm just getting that centered up from top to bottom, and we are pretty much done. I could have pulled some sequins out and added them to it, but the colors on that card are so deep and so bright and so vivid that I didn't want to put too much on it. And you can see the sentiment there too, as far as like my ink pad getting wonky. But as you can tell, it's a very easy card to make. And I'm sending out a lot of these right now since we're, quarantined. For the inside, I normally do a Whisper White 5 1/4 by 4 for this card. Leftover piece of DSP, I'll just adhere that to the bottom. There is our sentiment on the front, and I put thinking of you with all my heart on the inside of it, dolled up in an envelope and everything. Thank you for joining me today. I hope that you're doing well. Please hit like, subscribe, and don't forget to leave a comment. If there's anything that I can do for you, please let me know, and I hope that you enjoyed these beautiful Stampin' Up! Products that I have to share with you today.